Welcome back to the Wildcard Podcast, where we talk about our journey in starting a ministry for the young entrepreneurs, working class, and misfits of our generation. Join us today as we talk about dealing with forgiveness and unforgiveness. All right, y'all, let's get straight into this. First question for today is, why is it so hard to forgive? Good question.
Yeah, good question. Let me see. I feel like it can be really hard to forgive sometimes because then like if someone wrongs you and you don't forgive them, you can kind of just like push them away. And sometimes like that's a lot easier than just confronting someone about it, because I mean, confronting someone can be pretty tricky sometimes. And so it's a lot easier just to kind of hold a grudge against them and not forgive them. So most of the time that's why I'll do it, or a lot of people do it.
Yeah, I also think too, like sometimes like the reason why it can be hard to forgive is because we think that if we forgive someone, then that makes what they did okay, which isn't true. Like just because we forgive them doesn't mean what they did wasn't wrong. It just means that we're forgiving them for it.
Yeah.
You know, as the Lord has called us to do. And so, yeah, I think that's why sometimes it can be so hard to forgive others.
Yeah. For me, I think it just takes a really long time sometimes, because I'm just like in the moment, just so mad at them. Like, why on earth did you do that? And it just takes me a long time to kind of calm down, I guess, and realize like forgiveness is not really for the other person that much. It's kind of more so for me.
Yeah, because like there's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Like forgiveness is really for us. That's why God calls us to forgive, because when we live in that attitude of unforgiveness, it's really bad for us. It's unhealthy for us.
Don't let the sun go down on your anger.
Yeah. And I think just like when we let that happen, it begins to like consume us. And so that's why we have to be so careful in making sure we're intentional about forgiving and understanding the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Like you don't need the other person to forgive them. Like they don't really even have to apologize for you to forgive them. You can just forgive them regardless.
Yeah.
Just how Jesus even forgives us regardless. But reconciliation is where that apology and that kind of thing comes into play, where it's like, I forgive you, and we've decided to work together to make it better and to fix whatever wrong happened. And so I think that's also important to note, is like there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
But all right, let's talk a little bit about unforgiveness here. So first, have you ever found yourself in a state of unforgiveness, and what kept you from forgiving that person? I'd say for me, when I was younger, like there were a lot of people, whether it was like neighbors or just people I was around, that just spoke a lot of mean things over me. And I think for me, like I just found myself in a state of unforgiveness where like I just didn't want to forgive them because I felt like they wronged me so bad and caused me to be in such a bad place mentally that I just didn't want to forgive them, because I felt like if I forgive them, then it would just be like I move on, nothing happened, and what they did was okay. And obviously that's not true, like we already talked about. And so I think what really kept me from forgiving those people was just that I didn't want to feel like I just had to accept like what they were doing was okay. And it wasn't really until I decided to actually like look deeper and forgive them when I realized, like, wow, this unforgiveness is really what kept me in believing those lies that they spoke over me. And like, had I forgave them sooner, I wouldn't have stayed in those lies as long. And so I think, like, going back to what we said, like, forgiveness is for yourself sometimes. Like, once I finally decided to get over that and to forgive, it was like those lies became a lot less prominent.
Yeah.
Have either of you two ever struggled with unforgiveness?
I was thinking of a specific time. I was just like mad at someone because I would try so hard to become friends with them, and I felt like they just didn't try back at all. And it kind of just made me mad for the longest time. And I would try and try, and then eventually I was just like, you know what? I'm just giving up. I'll just ignore you, kind of thing. And for the longest time, I kind of just ignored it, literally, just ignored it. And I think eventually I did kind of forgive them, but like it took me so long because I was just like, I was so mad at them, and then I just kind of ignored them and almost forgot about it. And it kind of still affected me, even though I didn't really realize it. I think, yeah.
Because like that unforgiveness, like whether we realize it or not, that unforgiveness can subconsciously affect how we see that person. And so like we begin to see them as what they did wrong instead of who they actually are.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times you don't really catch this because you're with your siblings all the time, but you'll hold some grudges against them and not forgive them. And like a lot of times, like when you're younger, your parents will like make you say sorry or make you forgive them. But kind of when you get into your teenage years, not as much because that's on you. And so you can definitely start holding grudges and not forgiving people, well, your siblings. And so that's something that like I had struggled with. But then like growing up, you just kind of start realizing it more that you're kind of holding on to the older version of them and that they're a lot different and that they've said sorry and you need to forgive them.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what was it like when you finally experienced freedom in that area of unforgiveness?
Well, if we're going off of sibling thing, it's just a lot easier to hang out with them.
Yeah.
And it makes your relationship with your sibling so much more because they should like be one of your best friends for life. And if you're kind of just thinking of them as just a sibling and not like a best friend, then it kind of changes like how you forgive them, because normally if it's your best friend, you'll put a lot of effort into it. And then sometimes as siblings, you're just like, well, we live together, so not, yeah, it's just like that. But if you think of them as like a best friend, then you put a lot more effort into it, and effort in forgiving, effort in saying sorry, and effort in making the relationship better.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Aaron? It's all right. I can go ahead.
My brain blanks so
and
much.
share, and then you can. I think for me, like I kind of already shared, it definitely helped me not believe those lies anymore. But I think one of the biggest things, like what it was like to really experience that freedom, was it. It almost felt like this burden was like lifted off of me. It was like, I think sometimes too, like in forgiveness, like for me, I like to think of like I'm almost releasing it to God in that moment, like when I forgive them. And it was like this burden was lifted, this burden that I've been carrying of thinking I have to be the one to prove them wrong, or I have to be the one that shows them what they did hurt me, or I have to be the one to prove this or prove that, or I have to be the one that brings justice. Like it's kind of realizing like, wait, it's not my responsibility to do that. It's God's. And so it's almost like, I finally just decided to release it, and I forgave them and released it all to God. And it was like this burden was lifted. I wasn't weighed down by those lies. I wasn't weighed down by the hurt, and like I actually began to see like why those people would say those things, and got to see them for who they actually are instead of just what they said to me.
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't that I was like constantly mad at them or anything, but it was every time I thought of them, I would just be like, it would just like bring those emotions back of like what they did or didn't do. And I was just like, every time it was just like, I wouldn't think about it for a while, and then I think about it, and it just kind of make me a little bit mad. And I think when I kind of just forgave them, it was like, okay, I can start over. I can start a new relationship with that person, and I think that's a good place to get to.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so for the people watching, we just want to give some practical advice here. So, what are some habits to build for forgiving others?
For me, I think one of the things I try to do every time someone makes me mad or something is just give myself a second to breathe. Just even like if it's like often your siblings will make you mad, and
True.
it's just how they are. It's family.
Mhm.
But I will purposely walk out of the room,
Mm-hmm.
wait a couple minutes, then come back into the room. And
Mhm.
even if it's not even like, it might not even be something they really did. I was just mad at them for no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just helps me get over it, kind of.
Mhm.
And even if it is actually truly something, it just gives you a second to breathe and think about how you can handle it
Mhm.
more appropriately.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good.
Piggybacking off of that, where you sometimes might be mad for no reason. My mom always tells us, like, think about the best in the others. Like, don't think the worst. Think about the best in others. And so a lot of times you can be thinking about the worst, and they didn't even really even do anything to you, and you're just not forgiving them or just not thinking the best about them. So create a habit of being more positive and thinking the best in everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Especially like Aaron with what you said, like getting mad and just taking it a second. Like I think it's so crucial, whether it's, a significant other or a sibling or a parent or a friend. Like sometimes you get in those moments and there's been an offense or they've done something to you, and you just get upset, and sometimes rightfully so. Like sometimes, yeah, you got hurt. You kind of deserve to be upset, but we shouldn't sit in that. And so
Mhm.
it's very important, like you said, sometimes we just have to separate ourselves. It's such a good habit just to separate ourselves and pray and bring it to God. And then just like you said, just look for the good in others. Just look for the good. Like
Mhm.
sometimes it even helps, like if you find yourself in that pattern of unforgiveness, just to sit down and actually like write characteristics or just say out loud things that you actually like about that person. Because I know sometimes, like, I've even had to do that in my relationship with my fiance, where like she'll hurt me in a way, and I'm just so emotional and passionate over it, where sometimes I have to go off on my own and just write things about her that I actually like, that I see the good in, and be able to then forgive her in that process. Um, I think one other practical habit that goes into really everything we said is just releasing it to the Lord, praying about it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just a super practical thing that you can do. Like when you find yourself dealing with that unforgiveness, struggling with it, just pray about it. Just release it. Um, and just know that the Lord sees you and he hears you and he loves you. And he's not going to try and say, okay, everything they did was okay. But the Lord can comfort you in those moments. And sometimes just processing with him is really all you need. So, all right, well, that wraps up our talk about forgiveness. So, Ezra, do you want to pray us out and then we'll do our little outro?
Sure. God, thank you so much for everyone who's listening to this podcast. Could you please help this reach people who are dealing with forgiving people, and just help them to think about the best in others and then lift it up to you. Take captive every thought they're thinking and lift it up to you so that they don't hold grudges, they don't hold unforgiveness, and that weight just gets lifted off their shoulder. Thank you so much for just helping us today and giving us your word. And could you please help bless everyone who hears this? Amen.
Amen. All right, well, with that, we close out another episode. So if you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment, so we can get this pushed out to more people who need to hear it. And once again, every Saturday morning at 11 a.m., we will be having in-person meetings where we will be having small group times. So if you're looking for a community, you're a young man in the Indianapolis area between 18 and 22, and you're really looking for that community,
and you didn't go to college.
And you didn't go to college. You're an entrepreneur, hard worker.
Yep.
Someone may be in the trades. Someone may be pursuing ministry. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're in online college. Maybe you're just any route that's kind of typical than the majority of people, where you really just might find yourself lacking in community. Please show up. I know the enemy doesn't want you to come. I know that he wants to keep you isolated and alone. So please, if you feel the nudge, please show up and just get connected into that community. With that being said, that wraps up episode number 4. Peace out.
See ya.